Unless you're a Barcelona or Spanish fan, Lamine Yamal is going to be a problem. Every time he steps onto the pitch, it's either he's breaking records or leaving fullbacks twice his age, and it's safe to say that with the stuff that's come up now, he was destined to do it. Yamal's career is like a prophecy come true. He was born in 2007 in Mateo, Spain, to a Moroccan dad and a mom from Equatorial Guinea, and from then on, football was his passion. He started in the streets of La Torreta before 2014 came along, and his life changed forever. At the time, scouts had been hearing of a talented kid in the region named Lamine, so they brought him in 2014 to the youth team after hearing about him. He passed the trial, and the coaches at the club were simply amazed by his potential. Lamine was different from the rest. Still at a young age, his ball control, awareness, and eye for goal were so good that Barca kept moving him up age grades. Lamine had become so good, he was even breaking club rules already. See, at the time, it was a tradition for the club to always have their players stay at the club to monitor and control the way they developed and their diet, especially the ones at La Masia. But seeing as Lamine was still living in his early roots and how good he was, they let go of all that just so he could train with them. Lamine was already making a name for himself across the age grade levels for Barcelona. He'd already notched up 56 goals in 30 games, and I'm pretty sure someone in there didn't want to jinx it. But it was the truth, man. Lamine was the closest thing they'd seen to Messi in ages. Barcelona beat Real Madrid in the La Liga Promises version of El Clasico. Lamine scored 7 goals in the competition, won the Best Player of the Tournament award, and as a result, he'd gone global. Spain had been keeping tabs on him, so they invited him to play for the under-16s and under-17s. He balled as well, but it really clicked for him at the under-17 Euros in 2023. The guy kept scoring bangers. At Barcelona, Lamine was causing a storm at the top. Barca's head coach at the time, Xavi, had heard about Lamine and gone to see him himself. And he was so impressed by how good he was for his age that he decided to give him the ultimate test and had him train with the first team. Xavi named him on the bench against Atletico Madrid at the end of the 2022-23 season, and in the following game, Lamine made history. Against Real Betis at 15 years old, Lamine had become the youngest player to feature in a La Liga game since the turn of the century. He was only 15 years old, man. When I was that age, I was on my Xbox all weekend. Lamine was 15 years and 9 months old when he made his debut, and even though it didn't look like a big possibility, there was a chance he could leave. Liverpool and Bayern Munich had equally been keeping tabs on Lamine, and technically if he wanted to, he'd be free to. He was still only 15 and couldn't sign a pro contract yet. But in the end, Barca was where he wanted to stay, and he'd already broken one record and was going for more. The opportunity came for him too, by the time the summer window had closed. Barcelona had sold Ousmane Dembélé to PSG and Ansu Fati had gone on loan to Brighton, meaning they were opening down the wings at Barca. And Lamine was all set to play a key role. In the opening game versus Cadiz, Lamine once again broke another record. By starting against Cadiz, he became the youngest player to start in the club's history at 16 years and 38 days. Lamine wanted to prove it wasn't just about appearances. The hype around him was real. He could do insane stuff for a 16-year-old. And in the next game against Villarreal, he was off. His 2 assists made him the youngest player to get a goal contribution for Barcelona, and in the match against Granada, he went one better. He'd now scored his first goal for the club, the youngest player to get a goal scorer in La Liga history. And on the international scene, Lamine wasn't slowing down either. Despite playing for Spain, Lamine could have played for another country if he wanted to. In fact, 2. His dad is from Morocco, and they did try to get him to play for the national team. The same thing with Equatorial Guinea, but in the end, Spain had always been home to Lamine. He got called up to the national team for the first time in September 2023, and you'd probably have guessed the drill by now. Lamine was breaking records again. Becoming the youngest player to play for Spain wasn't enough. Lamine's goal against Georgia made him the youngest goal scorer in the country's history. Lamine was no joke, man. Spain had a real gem on their hands. And the same with Barcelona too. If they ever needed a sign, they got it when they realized Lamine had subscribed to Footballerz without even being told to. He just hit that subscribe button down below. The future was now. He'd already made history in La Liga and the national team, but this was still only the start. Attention shifted to the Champions League now, and he was at it again. The guy in the picture was now the youngest player to play in the Champions League for Barcelona. By November, Lamine's brace against Granada in the 3-3 draw made him the youngest player to bag a brace in the competition. He even broke a record in another competition too. Scoring against Osasuna now made him the youngest player to score in the Spanish Super Cup. By the time the Champions League knockout stages rolled around in February, Lamine had already become the youngest player to assist in a goal in a Champions League game back in December versus Royal Antwerp. He featured in both games in the round of 16 versus Napoli, easily dropping defenders for dead. In the quarterfinals versus PSG, Lamine also featured in both games and got the opening assist for Rafinha too. Starting this one made him the youngest player to reach 10 Champions League appearances. Lamine ended his debut season with 17 goal contributions in 50 games. He was still only 16 years old. If you think this was crazy enough, you should have seen him at the Euros. The stuff he put on out there, it wasn't normal. When Spain dropped their final squad list for the tournament and Lamine got included, the expectation would have been for him to play a part role in the team. To be honest, I don't think many people expected Spain to go far in this one. The team arguably wasn't as strong as previous Spanish squads in the past. But down the right for Spain, against Croatia, Lamine was a problem. He assisted Dani Carvajal in the opening game, becoming not just the youngest player to start a game at the Euros, but the youngest player to get a goal contribution as well. He bagged his second assist in the 4-1 win against Georgia, but the attention shifted against the hosts Germany in the quarterfinals. Once again, Lamine was on a different level. Another assist, his third of the tournament, helped Spain win it 2-1 and knock out the hosts. Lamine was now the joint top assist provider in the competition, so coming into the semi-final match against France, the French had plans to detail him down the right wing. Heck, they were so confident Adrien Rabiot came out and said this before the game. If Lamine Yamal wants to play in the Euros final Spain, he'll have to do much more against us than he has done so far. Shots fired. At 16, that kind of talk should have been extra pressure. But instead, Lamine only used it as extra motivation. Like he wanted to prove a point, because as soon as the ref hit that whistle for kickoff, he entered beast mode. Golazo! The youngest player to score at the Euros. The youngest player to play and score in a knockout game at the Euros. There was no stopping this kid, and he even shut up Rabiot in the process. Lamine and Spain advanced to the final against England. The game was tough, although the second half, everyone knew it was going to take a moment of brilliance to spark this one into life. Carvajal played the ball to Lamine, and the rest was just pure magic. Took out the English defense with multiple shoulder drops and played the perfect pass to his bro, Nico Williams. 4 assists in the tournament, the most in the competition. He was a constant threat throughout. He could have scored too, but for some decent saves from Jordan Pickford, Spain won the match 2-1, and when the individual awards were getting rolled out, the youngest player of the competition award winner was a no-brainer. Who else, really? It didn't just end there for him. Lamine's banger against France was voted as the goal of the tournament. Honestly, watching Lamine play is truly breathtaking. It's very easy to forget he's a 16-year-old. Even Messi and Ronaldo weren't this good at his age, and they're the GOATs of the game. His technique is amazing. The way he easily glides past players twice his age isn't normal. It's clear now that he's no longer just hype, he's the future. He's all set to usher in a new era in the game, and could be set for a GOAT debate in the coming years with Lamine at the top. Knew he was destined to make it as soon as I saw him hit that subscribe button to Footballerz.